Hey, 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 welcome back to another great week 9.
Of the Business Project Podcast. These weeks are just rolling on by.
They are rolling. I can't believe we're moving it feels like we're moving so quick. Or just, I miss these conversations and I look forward to it. So I guess, I don't know, but I'm excited. Thank you for continuing to follow along with us. And like we said, this is week 9. We're getting into finding a CPA, getting a business attorney, getting your business licenses and registrations and all that. So let's get into it.
Let's do it. The Business Project Podcast.
Business can be complicated.
We break it down so regular people like us
Can understand and find success. I'm John Crespo, accountant and consultant.
I'm Casey Bryant, marketer and event planner.
If you run a business
or want to run a business,
welcome to the show.
Hey guys. John, this is I feel like the last couple weeks have been my area of expertise, and then now we're getting into your area of expertise.
Yeah.
All the boring stuff.
Yeah. I like boring stuff. What can I say?
You're good at the boring stuff. One thing that I'm really surprised of as we're rolling this that I wasn't expecting is how much each one of the podcasts plays into the next one. Like literally, we talk about every week how it's just we're building a foundation one block at a time. And in order to do this block that we're talking about today, you kind of have to have the blocks underneath it. So if this is your first time that you're joining us, your first podcast, no worries at all. We hope that you will continue to listen. But after you're done, go back and listen to the previous podcast.
Highly recommended. Highly recommended. Go, if you're just joining now, go back and listen to the previous ones so that everything can fall into place. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. So let's get into it. The CPA.
Let's get into it. So, speaking about the steps we were taking, last week we spoke about the business cards and the marketing, more of the marketing side and just solidifying the marketing side of the business. So now that that's done, it's okay. We have to ensure that now that we're generating revenue, right? And we're actually executing on our plans, we got to make sure we're set up right. We're set up to track and monitor our performance and making sure that we're good in the eyes of Uncle Sam and the state and all that good stuff. So that's where this conversation comes in. Yeah.
You don't want to get to where you're raking in all the dough, and then you're like, oh no, now it all has to go out because I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
That's right. You want to make sure that your business is set up for the long-term success. And this is another column in the foundation for making a strong business structure that is highly important. A lot of businesses think they don't need it, think they could do it themselves, but come the end of the year, when it's time to file taxes and you're running around all crazy, you realize you can't do it by yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Now we have to do a year's worth of work in 2 weeks.
And that's when it gets expensive.
Yeah.
Really expensive at that point.
Yes. There are 3 relationships, I feel like, that you should have, partnerships that you should have as you're starting your business. And we're going to talk about 2 of them today.
Yes.
The CPA is the first one. One of them we're not going to talk about today. We're going to save that for later. And that's your insurance agent. But today we're going to talk about your CPA and we're going to talk about your business attorney.
Yes.
And so, John, since you are the know-it-all of this part of it.
Yeah.
What is the difference? Let's start out by the difference between a CPA and a bookkeeper.
Great question. And that's a question that a lot of people get confused, right? Because when they think of a CPA, they think of someone that will manage every aspect of their business, when it comes to their financial side, the transactions and their taxes and all of that. All right, let's start off this way. I'll define the 2. I'm going to define the 2, and then we'll talk about the relationship. Right?
Sounds great.
So a CPA is an acronym for Certified Public Accountant. A CPA goes to school, has gone to school, has gotten a degree in accounting or business management or a business focused with an accounting degree, and they've had to take a test to be certified as a public accountant. So hence certified public accountant, right? You have to go to get a test. You got to do continuing education as a CPA. And the majority of CPAs that I know, at least, I know there's a lot of CPAs can focus on specific things, but it's tax focus. So CPAs are very well trained on the tax side of keeping a business good, right? They analyze the financials of a business as well. So they provide strategy consultations. They look at ways to mitigate tax burden. CPA is very involved in the actual tax savings, tax filings, and strategy sessions and conversations for businesses to be successful.
Yeah.
That's a CPA.
Good. And what a great relationship to have, because as you're running a business, you're going to come across so many aspects between the accounting part of it, the marketing part of it, the branding part of it, the HR part of it. I mean, there's so many pieces, and I think a lot of business owners think that they need to be the expert in all of them in order to run a business, and that's not true at all. That's why we say that there's partnerships that you create with people that are the experts. Definitely. So that they can help guide you and lead you in the right direction. Don't feel like you have to know all of the tax stuff. It is good to know the basics. Definitely. But that's why you partner with somebody like a CPA, so that they can help you through it.
And the goal is in that partnership to ask questions, because it's your business, right? You want to know the health of your business. You want to know the tax implications of what you do as in your business. You want to know how you can mitigate your taxes, means pay less. But you also want to know and be able to strategize with your CPA on saying, our goal as a business is to purchase some commercial property, or I want to show this amount of income for whatever reason. And you partner with your CPA in finding ways to make that happen.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
Great reason why every business owner should have a relationship with a CPA.
So what's the difference between a CPA and a bookkeeper?
Bookkeeper. So let's define bookkeeping, right?
Let's do it.
Bookkeeper is, this is a person who's trained in helping a business categorize your transactions. And by categorizing your transactions, that means you have money coming in, which is your revenue. Every time you sell a product or a service, you generate revenue from that, right? And as a business, you also have expenses. So you have to pay rent, you got to pay utilities, you got salary, you got taxes. So you have expenses that a business has to pay. A lot of business owners don't really know how to categorize that stuff to help create budgets and things like that, as far as, hey, am I paying too much in my expenses, or am I not generating enough revenue? And
then right when you think you have it figured out, then something screwy comes in there, like you purchase some crazy purchase, or you bring a business partner in or something like that. Right. And you're like, oh no, now I got to figure this out.
Exactly. And who likes to do that? The majority of people don't like to sit down and look at their budget every day and make sure that they're in line.
No.
You just want to make money. You just want to know I'm making money and I got to spend money, and I don't really understand. I don't have a process around it. The average person doesn't have a process around it. A bookkeeper is that median between you and the CPA. So a bookkeeper will help you manage your transactions and categorize them properly, utilizing software, such as a popular one is QuickBooks, but there's also Xero. There's so many different accounting softwares out there that you can look at that, depending on your industry, might be more beneficial. But they utilize those softwares to help categorize those transactions so that when it's time to meet with your CPA, you can have those reports already ready to go. And it makes your tax conversation that much smoother, because the CPA now has your financials in hand and is able to dissect those financials with you and have those more strategic conversations. So the CPA helps you create those financials so that you can have that conversation with the CPA.
And a lot of times a CPA will have bookkeepers also employed at their office. So yes. Don't feel like you have to go and find a CPA and a bookkeeper yourself. A lot of times if you find a good CPA, they'll have bookkeepers for you. Yes. Which is good, because then they talk.
For sure. And you want that. Or vice versa at the same time. You might start out with a relationship with a bookkeeper, and the bookkeeper knows CPAs. or works in a CPA office or knows CPAs. And so that you're able to now you're able to have those conversations in there. But yeah, for sure.
So when do you think a business should bring on a bookkeeper or a CPA? At what point?
Yeah, great question. So I always recommend for a business to really, when you're starting off, you want to have a conversation with a CPA just to help you start off, right? And get the foundation
and to
set
also
up.
help you pick an entity
Yes.
and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll help to make sure that your business is registered properly and all that good stuff. So the foundation, you can have that initial conversation, but depending on the amount of transactions you do as a business, you don't necessarily have to have a let's just say someone handling that for you. You should be able to handle your transactions yourself. So the CPA can set you up on the software. Even a bookkeeper can kind of set you up on the software as well, but and help you create it, and then you can manage it yourself in the beginning. So, but it really depends on how many transactions you're going to do as a business. So if you're running a retail store or a restaurant,
with inventory is, I've done a business with inventory,
exactly.
Man.
if you have a lot of those components to your business, then you want to get with a CPA and a bookkeeper in the beginning. You want to make sure you build that relationship in the beginning. If you're providing a service that maybe you do 1 or 2 a month, and you can probably handle that yourself until you grow to a point where it starts getting more complicated. Then you want to build that relationship. But it really depends on the industry and what you do.
Yeah, that's good. I have actually started, I would say, 6 businesses, maybe 7 businesses. And of all of those, I've never done my own licensing or like getting my business entity. I've always worked with either a business attorney or a CPA to get that set up for me.
Yes.
so that when we get into this, we're about to get into, getting your business licenses. That's usually something that an attorney and a CPA can help you with too.
Yes.
Which I even recommend, because then it's going to get done right. That's how I am. I'm like, if I do it myself, there's no telling if I'm going to skip a step or put a wrong number in the address or whatever. But if I have a professional help me, then I know it's going to get done right.
Well, I mean, because the navigating our systems, our state system to register a business is not the easiest thing in the world to do.
It's not. And they're all different per state too. Every state is different on what they require and how it works and the laws and all of that.
Exactly. Yep. So depending on which state you're in, you can have some highly regulated states. So depending on your industry, you got to make sure you have all these licenses and certifications and all that stuff to be able to run your business versus another state that's not as highly regulated. Mm-hmm. So having that relationship that helps you navigate that system with a CPA and an attorney is very, very crucial to making sure you put the right steps in place so that nothing comes back to bite you in the butt.
Yeah, that's good. And one thing too, a tip that I can add in that is to interview CPAs and even bookkeepers. Don't feel like just because somebody was recommended or because they're special in your industry that they're necessarily a good fit for you. I think a really important thing is to be able to have a relationship. You mentioned this earlier with anybody that is helping you with your business. You want to be able to call them and ask questions without feel like you're bothering them.
For sure.
And you want to be able to make sure that they spend time to explain things to you instead of just bossing you around on what you need to do. And so don't be afraid to interview different people before you stick with somebody that you think is going to be a good fit.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you got to understand, it's your business. And you want to make sure that the person or the company that you're partnering with, you feel comfortable around them. Mm-hmm. I love that. It's so true. I've helped so many people just in my industry, just in what I do every day, that they partnered with let's just say a CPA firm or a bookkeeping firm, and there wasn't that relationship there. I think in any business, you should vet who you're going to get into bed with per se, right? To make sure the relationship is going to be something that's meaningful on both sides.
Yeah.
In anything.
Yep, that is great. And just don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty for asking questions. If you are working with somebody and you feel guilty for asking them for their opinion for something or, help you understand, and and you're feeling like you're wasting their time or feeling bad, then it's not a good relationship.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. So we got the definition of CPA down, the definition of bookkeeper. Those two can be one and the same, or they can work, or they can be two separate people, or, one firm. They can work together. The goal is, to partner with an agency that's going to take care of your books and make sure you're safe in the eyes of the IRS. You don't want to have a target on your back when it comes to the IRS. Mm-mm. Once you have that target on your back, then it's hard to get it off, because then you'll be audited frequently. So CPAs and bookkeepers protect you when it comes to potential audits, because you can get audited, believe it or not. You can. And doesn't mean you did something wrong. The IRS will just randomly pick some businesses to audit, or personal, and you could be one.
People are cringing right now.
Audit.
Yeah. That's another reason that you partner with somebody, is they can help you through that process so you don't pull out your hair.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You get that IRS letter in the mail and your heart sinks. It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
So having that relationship helps with that.
Cool. All right. Next, we're going to get into a business attorney and why that's important, and what to look for, and what they can help you with, all the goodies that come along with the business attorney.
Yeah. So stick around. We'll be right back, and we're going to get continue this awesome conversation that I love so much.
The 5 things that you can do to get business for $0. These are some marketing tips just for you.
I need more income.
I need more customers.
I'm just getting started. I've been in business for a while and I need fresh ideas.
People just don't know about my business.
I don't know what to do.
If you are a business owner on a budget and any of these questions have crossed your mind, we've got 5 things that you can do to bring in more business without spending a penny. Plus, you can hold yourself accountable with a free printout included with the video. It's time to get off the sidelines and take some action. Check out this free video today. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Hope you didn't miss us too much. Hopefully while you took this break, you had a chance to review some other of the previous episodes that we had going on, or visited thebusinessproject.com, because that's where you get the really good stuff.
Yeah.
And we dig in deep.
Thebusinessproject.com is awesome.
Yeah. We
Lots
dig
of
in deep on
resources.
these conversations, actually. Believe it or not, the podcast that we've been doing is to give you a gist, give you the idea. But if you really want to really know how to put that stuff into place, you got to hit thebusinessproject.com. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a must.
We've got all kinds of topics on there. And there's an entire course that goes over everything that we're going through on this podcast, but it's very condensed all into one space. So if you're launching your business and you want all of the tools and you're like, just teach me what I need to know and let me get on with it, there's resources, there's homework. It's just all condensed into one lesson, and that's on thebusinessproject.com. It takes you from start to finish in launching your business.
And there's community.
There is a community, yes.
So you can ask your questions, and you can get people that are in your same industry that are going through the same thing that can chime in. You have experts in there that will help chime in and guide the process. So it's like I said this before, I think, the Batman utility belt. When you have that around you, you're going to have every tool you need to be successful.
Yeah, you don't have to do business alone. A lot of people jump in and feel like not only that they have to do everything, but that they have to do it alone and figure it out alone. You don't have to do that. There's people that have already fallen on their face, and they can help you not do it.
For sure. Hence the conversation we're having today.
Yes.
The importance of having those strategic partnerships for your business. And, now we're going to talk about a business attorney.
Yeah, so we had mentioned that there's 3 relationships, partnerships that are super duper important when you're a business. We just talked about a CPA. Now we're going to talk about a business attorney, and then later on in future episodes, we're going to talk about insurance.
Yes, very important. Very important. All 3 of those. You don't have those, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah. So why do you feel like businesses need a business attorney? I think this is something that a lot of businesses don't do. They start their business and they think, that's just later, or,
right.
I'll never need that. Why do you think that they should?
Well, I can answer that with this question, with this example. So you have, not really an example, but I'll list it out. You have several different types of business entities. You have the sole proprietorship, which is just me. I'm John Crespo Business, right? That's a sole proprietor. You have your LLC, which is a limited liability company, which that is, you start separating yourself from your business. So as far as liability protection.
We go over all these in a lot more detail next week, by the way. Yeah, next week we'll just wait in there if you're wondering.
Yep.
We'll break them all down for you.
Yep. And this is just to go right why you need an attorney. And then you have corporation. And corporation, you have S Corp and C Corp, right? So you need an attorney because depending on your entity type, you got to have these particular agreements on how to run your business. And attorneys help you draft those up. So to make sure that you are in compliance with state law, federal law, and you're meeting everything that's required to actually run your business, attorneys will draft those up to make sure it's done right. That's just one reason why you need an attorney.
That's just at the beginning.
Yeah.
Say, for an example, if you are a corporation, you have to have specific contracts with the people, the other investors in your business. You have to be doing yearly board meetings and take minutes. Like, there's so many things that you have to do that you might not even know about unless you talk to a business attorney. That's
right. That and partnerships. You get your partnerships in, and so there's agreements that have to be done with partners. You have investors, so you have agreements that have to be done with investors. You have contracts that you have to sign, and all of that has to be, it has to protect you. Your I's have to be dotted and your T's have to be crossed. Using one of those templates out there is not necessarily going to benefit you in your business because of the differences that come for every entity.
I can't tell you how many times I've met with a business that didn't incorporate a business attorney from the beginning, whether it be also contracts with your customers. You know, you need to have contracts with your customers. You need to have contracts with your employees, any contractors that you work with. And your business partners and all of that. And you never know that you need one until you need one. And you would rather be proactive about it. It'll cost you just a tiny fraction of the amount of money if you are proactive and you incorporate a business attorney in your business early versus waiting until you actually need one. I mean, outrageous amounts of money.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I think another good point, and this goes into the marketing piece, is trademarks, right? Patents, trademarks, attorneys. Actually, you would want an attorney to make sure that that's filed properly so that, it actually gets through the process and can be activated. Because if you have a special, let's use local. Local's brand is unique. Casey did an amazing job in creating it. Right, you want to protect that, and the attorneys can create the trademarks and the copyrights and all of that to make sure that that's protected and no one else can steal it.
Right. Yeah, because you don't want to put all this time and energy and money into creating a brand and then have somebody come behind you and steal it. But then on the flip side, you also don't want to create all this money and energy into creating a brand and then find out that somebody else already owns it, and you don't have the right to it, and then you have to do it all over again. I actually know of a real estate company that did this. Oh, wow. I mean, and imagine all of the money that goes into real estate branding, right? You have all your yard signs, you have all your realtors underneath you with all their business cards. I mean, there's probably millions of dollars invested in a branding for a real estate company. Crazy. And then they had to go in and redo all of it. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to get with an attorney up front to make sure that your intellectual property is protected, your brand is protected, and your relationships are protected, and all of that.
Another thing I think that people don't think about is when you're selling your business. Great. I had a very wise person. My very first business, second business, I guess, I thought I was going to ride or die. I mean, I was willing to get that business tattooed on my arm. I was like, this is going to be what I do for the rest of my life forever. And I never thought that I was going to sell it. Well, 5 years later, my life was completely different than it was when I started it. And we had built this huge thing. I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I'm like, okay, I think I need to sell my business. It's become too much and I'm burning myself out. And so I went to sell it, and I didn't have certain things in place that if I would have had a business attorney involved from the beginning, that would have made things a lot easier when I'm selling it. But that That's another tip, like, on the side note of all of this, is when you're starting a business, always keep in mind that always start a business like you're going to sell it.
Right.
And that's what somebody told me, a couple months into my business, and I didn't listen to them because I'm like, no, I'm going to do this forever. And then I ended up selling it. And that voice always comes back into my head. Start a business like you're going to sell it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, you go in there with that mindset, then you'll make sure you're set up right. Attorneys, very important. Very important. I mean, what else can they help with your licensing,
contracts,
permits,
hiring and firing, making sure that
employees.
you're in complicit. That's not the right word. Making sure you're in
compliance.
That's the word. with
That's
everything
true.
that you need to be doing as a business owner.
That's true. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind for sure. These are the relationships that will ensure the long-term success of your business.
All right. We good on that?
I think we're good on that. Yeah.
Business.
If you have questions about that, that maybe we didn't touch, but there's a question brewing in your mind, plug it in. We'll answer. We want this to be a fluid conversation. If you're listening to our podcast and you're saying, hey, I have a question about this that maybe you didn't touch on, or you guys touched on it, but I want a little bit more context, hit it into the comment section. We may even guide you into the businessproject.com to find the answer.
Yeah. And if you have the question, I'm sure somebody else has it too. So
For sure.
ask it.
Love community.
Yeah. All right. Next, we're going to be talking about business licenses.
Mm-hmm.
This one is overwhelming to people. I think this was the hardest part about me starting a business is I'm like, I don't even know what to do. How do I do it?
Right. Yes.
We'll get into it when we get back.
Yeah. Let's do it when we get back.
Let's do it.
This is going to be good. CFD Services Inc. is your one-stop shop for small business support. We take care of the small stuff so you can take care of what matters most, your clients. Visit our website at cfdservicesinc.com for more information on what we offer and to schedule your free consultation today. And we're back. Thank you for following along with us today and hanging out with us today and really getting an understanding of the importance of having relationships such as a CPA or business attorney. We're moving into the next section, which is business licenses, business permits, and sales tax, and all that stuff that businesses are scared of and stops them from completing the process.
I think this is a big reason that businesses are like, I'm not going to start a business because that intimidates me because it's a lot.
Right.
Because it's different for every business, every state. It's different for every industry on what you need to do. There's not really one place that you can go and say, hey, you need to do all of this. You have to research it.
So true. And it's hard to give a step-by-step process to this because, like you said, every state is different. Some states charge income tax, some states don't. Some states you have to charge sales tax for something, some states don't. So my recommendation is when we were speaking about our earlier podcast about the research, part of the research we should be doing is visiting the Secretary. I don't know. We might have mentioned that as well previously, but I'll reiterate it if we didn't.
Podcasts.
Yeah, I think we did, like visiting the Secretary of State website. Mm-hmm. And you can actually, I don't know if every state is like this, but you can actually visit your Secretary of State website, go to your industry, and it'll tell you the types of accounts you need for that state.
That's helpful.
Yeah. Some states have a great guide for new business owners on what they need to be able to be, let's just say, set up properly in that state. And so visit to your Secretary of State website. If you don't find something in there that can help you, of course, the community can help you. That's where we come in because guaranteed there's somebody in your state that's doing what you're doing or something similar that's gone through the same process that can probably provide some information.
Yeah, that's good. We're all here to help each other. You don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get into, I think a lot of people when they're getting started don't understand the difference between a license and a permit. Mm-hmm. Why don't we give that the that explanation first.
Yeah. Great question. Great topic. License is what qualifies you to do what you do. I like to say that's probably the definition that I can come up with. The best one is what qualifies you to do what you do. We were speaking about CPA. A CPA is a certified public accountant. They're licensed to do accounting. They have to take a test to become a CPA. Electricians have to take a test, right, to become an electrician. Plumbers have to take tests. So those are licenses that you need to operate.
They're usually longer term.
Yes.
I feel like than permits. Licenses are usually you build up, you get a license, and then it lasts you for a reasonable amount of time.
Yes. And then you got to do what you got to do to maintain those licenses too, whether it's continuing education or continuing reapplications or whatever. But, once you have a license, you have to maintain it.
Yeah. And then what's a permit?
So a permit is what you apply for to be able to operate in that specific location. I would say it's location-based permits.
Yeah, I think people that have licenses can apply for certain permits typically. Yes. So like if you're in the construction industry, you would possibly have to get, certain building permits or fire permits or and like permits you to do a certain specific thing.
You're right. A great example is a restaurant that sells alcohol. In order to sell alcohol, you got to get a permit from your city or county, depending on where you live and how that functions. But you have to apply for that permit for the ability to sell alcohol. So that's an example of a type of permit that you would need, depending on the business that you operate. Another one would be if you are a food truck. You need to apply for a permit as a food truck operator to park in certain spots or certain events and sell food.
To do specific things.
To do specific things.
You get a business license to operate as a business long term, but then you have to get certain permits within that license to do specific things.
Right. And you know what? I like that you said that, because the first thing that you need to make sure you have before even applying for permits is the license to operate in your state. The business license. That's the first thing.
A lot of times they'll ask for the license in order to get the permit.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep. And this is so every business, let's give a general, because I feel like we can pretty much in every state, every business needs to have a business license to operate. I mean, there might be states out there, counties that allow that to happen without, but the main reason is they want you to get an EIN number so that you can pay taxes, right? So you'll have to get your EIN number, which is your federal number. It's like your social security number for your business. And we'll link some of this in the show notes so you guys don't have to look everywhere for it. But pretty much every business, no matter what you are, even if you're a LLC, you can get a EIN number for your business. And then you, based on your city or your county, they'll have different regulations on getting business licenses for that. So you'll have to go to your city probably and your county and figure out if that's something that you're going to need for your business. So that's something every business needs. And then if you sell, you also need to get sales. What's that called?
Oh, if you're selling a product? So if you're selling a product that you have to charge sales tax for, you have to get your sales tax, they call it a reseller certificate, right? To be able to sell product and charge sales tax for it. So in essence, what that is that you can buy from a supplier. If I'm selling a product, I can buy material from a supplier and not pay tax on my end, because I'm going to charge tax to the customer that will then go to the state. So kind of to stop that double taxation thing, the whole reason why we started the Revolutionary War, right? No taxation without representation, although I feel we're taxed more now than they probably were back then.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why the Revolutionary War was started. But yeah, so selling a product, got to get a sales tax resale certificate in that state. And I want to hit on what you were talking about with the EIN and the business license. And let's go from macro to micro, right? A business should have an EIN. A sole proprietor does not necessarily need an EIN. You can operate under your own social security number. Unless instead of me being John Crespo as a sole proprietor, I want to be John Crespo doing business as something else. I need to get a tax ID number from the IRS to do that. Once you have your tax ID number, you need to register with the state to do business in the state. So, or you can do the state first and your tax ID number second. It doesn't matter which one you do first, but those have to be done. And then you go to the city or the county and get the license to operate in the city or the county. So there's, as you're getting down to the local level, you start in the federal level and work your way down to the local level. You got to make sure that you're hitting all those boxes.
That's good. That's good. So fun.
And you're probably sitting here like, this is so much to start a business. But believe it or not, it's not hard. And we'll have, and it's actually pretty cheap if you do it yourself.
Yeah.
And we'll have the links. You can get a tax ID number for free.
Right. From
the IRS. So if if you're clicking on a website and it's charging you money, you can get it for free. And we'll put the irs.gov link on there.
Yeah, it's so fun. Just as much as fun as picking your colors and creating your logo.
Yeah, I don't think so. But it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of those necessary evils.
Yeah, so business licenses are something that you're most likely going to have as a business, but then there are other additional licenses that you'll need within your industry. So like if you're a nurse, you have to have or a doctor, certain licenses for that. If you're a CPA, you have to get a license for that. And then you have to know specifically within your industry how to do certain things. So like say, for example, you're a refrigerator repairman or you do HVAC, you need to know where to dispose of things that are toxic to the environment. So make sure that you research within your industry all of the other licenses and the other permits that you're going to need in order to operate. Because again, you don't want to be 2 years down the road and realize that you're operating improperly and then have to pay fees or have to back pay for what you should have been paying. I had a business that didn't realize that they should be collecting sales tax and paying sales tax quarterly. And so at the end of the year, she ended up having to pay like thousands of dollars in sales tax. And it just totally blew everything that she had worked for that whole year out of the water because she didn't plan on that. She had no idea.
If I can make a recommendation on sales tax, if you're selling a product that requires you to charge sales tax, that sales tax is not your money. A lot of businesses they commingle it with their regular money, and then it gets swept up in their operating expenses. And then when it comes time to pay the government their sales tax, the state their sales tax, you don't know where to get it from. That just, when you're starting out, put in your mind that depending on whatever percentages that your state charges for sales tax, put that to the side.
Yeah.
That's where your CPA and bookkeeper come in that can help you to make sure that you're putting that to the side, because you don't want to owe the state the sales tax. They're going to hit you with fees. They're going to hit you with penalties, and that gets expensive very quick.
I'm really excited about next week because we go into a lot of this next week too when we talk about opening your business bank account. And I have some tips for businesses as they're opening their bank account for some ways that they can easily keep track of all this so that they don't get to the end and be like, For sure. Next week's going to be great.
Yes. So this is good. And you know what? You learned a lot today. You learned some of what not to do and the importance of what you should do and the relationships you should have. So I'm happy we got this out. As boring as the information is, this is important information. Yeah. So we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode of the Business Project Podcast. I had a blast.
Yes. Next week is going to be just as good. So we hope that you guys stay tuned. And we have a text club now.
Ooh.
Yes.
Tell
we
us
have
about
a text
that.
club. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but we'll put the number in the show notes. So all you have to do is text the phone number that we have in the show notes. You text BIZVIP, all one word, all uppercase, BIZVIP to that phone number. And you'll get notified every Thursday morning to remind you that the Business Project, a new episode is out.
That's awesome.
And you also get a really cool motivational quote from somebody famous in business.
That's awesome. I know I can use motivation sometimes. There's some days where I don't want to get up out of bed, but having something that give me a little bit of motivation, that'll help for sure.
We have some good ones coming. So every Thursday you'll get motivation. You'll get a notification. Hey, don't forget about the Business Project podcast. A new episode is live today. And that's just a fun, creative thing that we can do. And also share it with your friends. Let them know about the text club and the podcast. And I've told y'all before, begging, please, please, please. There are so many businesses out there that need this information. We're not doing this for us.
Right.
We know this information. We're doing this for you guys, and we're doing it for businesses that are, needing this information to be successful. So please share it.
I love it. So thank you again. We love that you've been following along with us, and we hope and pray that that you're getting some tips to help make your business successful. Visit us at thebusinessproject.com, and of course, like, share, and comment on the podcast, and leave us a review. I think leaving a review is very important too, because we want to know, hey, if there's something that we can adjust, there's something that we can do better. We're always trying to make this better so that we can really, really be the support that you need to be successful.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You have a good rest of your week. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next time.
Next week.